Okay, we got the flexible torch here, air-cooled torch, which means we're running argon on the torch over the conductor. Got the back cap. We got the collet, the tungsten, and the collet body, and then the cup. That's basically all you need. Another option for a collet body is the gas diffuser, which has a screen in there to diffuse the argon. Go in place of that, and then a bigger gas flange would go on top of that cup. Collet body. I like to slide the tungsten through there, and then the collet itself, and then the back button. And as you screw down the back button, it clamps down on the collet into the collet body and holds that firm in place. You back it off, you can adjust your collet or your stick or your tungsten for your stick out. And we're going to throw the cup on there. If you want to bring it out, you loosen that guy up. I want to do it. I wish I didn't, but I do. Remember every moment on the nights with you. I like that, and you're ready to rock and roll. You're drinking everything to ease your mind. So they deliver us liquid argon, high purity. This is like a giant thermos. Then it vaporizes the liquid into a gas, and we distribute it through the whole shop. Through our stainless steel line over to our welding stations, where it's about 60 to 70 psi, and we regulate our flow down with the flow meter at the machine. In here, our bulk system is plumbed down to every weld station. We have 2 flow meters. One of the flow meters we use for an interior purge. If we're doing a high purity tube, we purge the inside of the tube. The other flow meter goes to the torch itself, and we regulate the flow going to the torch by this little ball here.
So this right here is a flow meter. This is basically what we always use in the field when we don't have a setup like Ricky has here with a big doer. You'll have a tank, and this is probably what you'll be dealing with, is argon, just a straight argon tank. You'll be screwing this right into it, just like oxygen or acetylene. And then you'll connect your argon hose right here, and then for the most part you can plug it directly into the back of your machine if it has that adapter to connect to the hose and spray out. But this is what I was talking about. You're going to want it in between 25 to 35, and if you're having trouble feeding the rod because it's puddling up on you, then maybe dial that back, lower that number. But if you're getting too brown or too gray, you're going to want to raise that number up to give the weld more argon coverage. So whenever you plug in your machine, I don't know what you're going to be using, but basically you'll have negative and positive. And with TIG, it's direct current and also alternating current. Alternating current is more like aluminum, stuff like that, but direct current is what you're going to be using for TIG welding, stainless steel and other things like that, even carbon. This is your positive, which will be your ground. And so you plug your ground into your positive and then your torch into your negative. Some welders come with a hose like this that plug into your positive torch, and sometimes you have to just get your gas somehow connected to your torch. Whichever way you can, you'll figure it out. But once you got it all connected, you're good to go. The amps that I like to use on this kind of plate is probably around 70 amps. When you're doing root passes and pipe and stuff like that, you're gonna wanna use the same kind of amperage. You don't wanna go too high on the root because it'll drip through, blow out on you, it's not too fun. But when you finally get your hot pass in and then you're doing your cap, I normally run both those at around 125 to 135. Let's go ahead and run a little bead on this. I'll probably just fuse weld it. I won't use any rod. We're at 69 amps. You click your torch. This is a foot pedal, so not a lot of people have these. So if you're just doing scratch start, you're gonna be able to scratch it or flick it with your rod and it'll start up your torch. But you won't have any discrepancy what kind of amps because you're not using a pedal. But luckily, if you get a hold of a pedal, you can use that and it's a lot more comfortable because you can control your amps while you weld.
Got me a job and I quit my rambling beat. Every day I'd save a quarter of my pay.
This is some small plate, so all I did was fuse weld that. As you can see, it's come out nice and silver. That's kind of what you want, a silver look or a gold look, and you know that your argon's hitting at the right spots and your heat is at the right spot.
My darling angel.
So this is actually a pretty awesome torch right here.
It's a water cooled.
This is a water cooled torch, and this is my favorite. These are my favorite size. A size 10 or an 8 when you're walking the cup is probably the best thing for you once you get to your cap. But basically, I want to show you a little bit about walking the cup when you upgrade from plate to pipe. And so basically, a lot of guys, I like to view it as like a motorcycle handle, like keep your wrist nice and loose. And this is an example of how to walk the cup. But basically, you're going and you're just swiveling like this, back and forth. And you see where that torch is aiming? As you feed rod to that torch, it's going to follow that flame and melt. And as you do that, basically, that's how you get that pretty snake tail. For the most part, if you want to practice this, you can get a styrofoam cup, take out the tungsten or keep the tungsten in. Normally, that's how much you want. You want whatever the width is of your cup to have that stick out half the size of your width. And that's what I prefer. And like I said, if you want to practice at home, just get your torch, take all the hoses off of it, get you a cup, get you a tungsten, and start walking along that cup. And then once you pull it off, you'll see your pattern that you're making. But walking the cup is definitely an essential part of TIG welding, so you're gonna have to practice a lot at it. That's about it.
Well, my buckle makes impressions on the inside of her thigh. There are little feathered Indians where we tussle through the night. If I'd known she was religious.
When you do welding and you do different types of stainless steel welding, such as 16 gauge plate, which I did earlier, and then you got schedule 10 pipe or schedule 40 pipe, you want different size tungstens for the most part. For the thinner stuff, you want to go with like a 332 tungsten on this plate or schedule 10. It all just depends on the welder. I personally like 1/8 inch tungsten, the nice thick tungsten, because it just seems to have more control, especially at higher amps. I've noticed that I just have more control. The tip doesn't burn out as easy as these little guys do. So when it comes to tungstens and sharpening it, most people have a tungsten sharpener, especially companies. You can put it in and then twist it and it'll tungsten it, or it'll sharpen it at like a 35 degree or something like that, or 45. But for the most part, you're just using a grinder in the field, in which you'll probably do in your booth. So just get a grinder and sharpen that thing out at an angle to where it's at a nice point, put it in your torch and go. Just keep practicing.
There's also a little chart that tells you what angle to grind on that tungsten, and it kind of gives you an idea of what your puddle's going to look like, and it gives you a little description of it, and you'll get comfortable with it when you're welding to see what you like. Got a little breakdown of the torch assemblies, a couple different configurations, but it shows you the two pieces to the collet, and then the cup and the end of the torch. So two different setups there. Just give you an idea of the lengths on them. If you got to get in a tighter spot, you can go with a smaller torch. Then on the tungsten sizing, we have a chart that we use that tells you what size tungsten diameter you should be using for whatever material you're welding. And this particular chart has a sliding deal, so you can zoom in whatever kind of procedure you're going with, whatever kind of gas, whatever your speed is. There you got an 1/8 inch tungsten telling you the cup size. Filler rod should be 1/8 also. We're going DC, and the amperage range from 250 to 280. They say type, you got helium there, but we're all using argon on everything. And then your flow rate in cubic feet per hour is 30. And then it's got a feed rate, and then your speed, which that's based on how you're doing it personally. That's about it. But we'll send you a couple of these, and our local vendor gives them to us, so it has a lot of useful information there on the configuration of the tungsten for different materials.
So that's basically the beginnings of TIG welding. For the most part, you're gonna get frustrated, you're gonna get mad, you're gonna get tired of sharpening tungstens. We all go through it, but just keep at it, keep practicing. And the cool part about TIG welding is everybody's cap is like a fingerprint. They're all unique. The way you learn how to walk the cup becomes your own thing. And I have a demonstration here of a little weld that was cut out. This is the guy's cap, which is a real pretty cap, as you can see. And then if you look on the inside, this is the root pass. And he's got full penetration. He's under 1/8, and he's also got plenty of penetration, so that's gonna pass X-ray right there. This is a beautiful weld. You guys keep practicing, and I promise you at some point, you may turn out one of these bad boys.
5 cold nickels all